Good night and welcome to another edition of In Touch with me, JD Ajape Emmanuel. In case you have not heard, prices of petroleum products have been further reduced today. And so gasoline has been reduced by $1.28 per gallon, diesel by 26 cents per gallon respectively. And of course, further reductions in LPG, the 100-pound cylinder reducing by $5.42, the 22-pound cylinder reducing by 63 cents per cylinder, and the 20-pound cylinder reducing by 57 cents per cylinder. I know this is good news for our motorists, of course, as well. It is good news for our bus drivers, taxi drivers as well. And of course, I must say that the reductions in the prices of fuel is as a result of reductions in the import prices of these items. You would recall that the government is now determining the prices of fuel products through a 3-week pass-through mechanism. And so every 3 weeks there is a review, and the prices would be determined based, of course, on the import prices of these items. And so again, a further reduction. I believe this is the 3rd consecutive reduction in the prices of petroleum products. And so all petroleum products, with the exception of kerosene, remaining the same because there were no imports for the period, but all other products have been reduced. Good news to start the week, of course. I want to welcome you to another program. It is always an opportunity to speak with you on matters related to your community, the country, what is happening in government. Tonight, I want to focus on one of our constituencies. I want to introduce to you my very special guest. I'm happy to have her on the program. The first time she's joining me on the program tonight, and I'm speaking of none other than Honorable Emma Hippolyte. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Jadia. Thank you for having me. Good evening, Gros-Islet. Good evening, St. Lucia.
I invited you here tonight to discuss some matters related to your constituency. Gros-Islet has always been in the news for one reason or the other, but because of the portfolio that you hold as a minister, or should I say portfolios, because you seem to be very loaded, we seem to focus a lot on the ministries, commerce, investment, business development, consumer affairs, and not spend much time looking at what is happening in the constituency, how you have been able to fulfill the promises that you made to the people of Gros-Islet when you presented yourself as a candidate for the elections in 2011. I recall one of the most organized camps, as I recall. I think you were probably one of the only candidates with your special manifestos, and in there you listed some of your priority areas for the constituency of Gros-Islet. Very interested in knowing how has it been for you so far as a parliamentary representative, the most populous constituency on the island. No doubt you'd have your unique challenges. What has the journey been like so far?
Challenging but rewarding. I think I could put it that way. You said the right thing, Jadia, because when we think of Gros-Islet, we must realize that Gros-Islet is a constituency with some 25,000 constituents, residents. And when you think of the vast expanse of land, you can put that in 3 key areas. The Gros-Islet town, the northern part of Gros-Islet, Gros-Islet town, Rodney Bay, Cap Estate, Bonte, Beausejour, Ridley Park, Ridley Orchard. You look at that wide expanse. Then you look at places like La Bonne, Marisil, Grand Rivière, Monchy, Rivière Mitan. It's another area. You look at Assu-Canal, you look at Top of the World, Parrot Hideaway, and it goes on and on. The huge settlement of Corinth, Degazon, Sugar City, and I can continue. Nobel, and it continues. So Gros-Islet is 3 or 4 constituencies.
How do you stay in touch? How do you ensure that there is always this presence, that you're always connected, or at least that you have a knowledge or an understanding of what the issues are in all of the different areas that you mentioned a little while ago?
Through a network of sorts. Because of my method of operation, I always like to be hands-on. So I would start by meeting my constituents at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to church every morning at 6 o'clock.
At 6 a.m.?
At 6 a.m. every morning.
Wow.
So I meet them in church, after church, and it starts that way. And the day continues, get to the office. On weekends, it is on the road the entire Saturday, the entire Sunday. It is meeting them at the supermarket. It is meeting them on the football field. It is meeting them at the doorstep. And it continues. But I also want to say that I have support persons who assist. For example, in the issue of attending funerals. I attempt to attend all funerals, but sometimes I have 3 funerals in one day.
Wow.
You know, so I've prepared an agenda. We have our cards to be sent. If I cannot attend the funeral, somebody represents me. Or I then make a call. I visit before or subsequent to the funeral. I keep in touch. I keep in touch.
There has been an interesting
in touch.
discussion of late, and that has to do with the role of the minister versus the role of the parliamentary representative. Seeing that you represent a very large constituency and you just, even speaking about your daily routine, I can well understand how involved it is for an individual, far less someone with that level of responsibility that you do as a minister for government. Do you hold a view that there should be a separation, that in order for you to effectively represent your constituency, that you would have to be free of some of the responsibilities of a ministry? Or do you believe that you have managed it well and it is doable once the resources are made available to you as parliamentary representative?
I think I'll go to the second. I think whether it's the constituency of Gros-Islet or another constituency, ministers and parliamentary reps should be given the resources to manage their ministries, effectively manage their ministries as well as their constituencies.
Indeed.
But as you know, in St. Lucia, we have this absence of resources, and you are expected to do all of it with no resources.
Although I will tell you,
or little help.
People looking from on the outside, I don't know if you know this, but the view of Gros-Islet is that you are dealing with a section of the population where the richer folks are. You're dealing with a high population of the business community. And so if people were to think of scarcity in terms of resources, I don't think anyone would be looking at the constituency of Gros-Islet as having this major challenge.
And that is the #1 error people make. Because when you think of the constituency of Gros-Islet, you have to think it's a very wide and very diverse constituency. And we have pockets of persons in need in all parts. In Gros-Islet town, in Grand Rivière, in Astou Canal, in Degazon, we have persons, and I continue saying that. The constituency of Gros-Islet have persons with 4 cars in their garages, in their garage, in their homes, and at the same time, you have homes with no electricity, no toilets, no running water. That's what we have.
So
it is a mix.
I wanted to ask you, before we go into your work program for your constituency and to begin to look at some of the promises that you made versus where we are so far, do you feel that you're constantly operating under pressure given the margin of victory? Gros-Islet, you won the seat by 7 votes, and I have often heard many individuals say that once you have an election that is so close, you are always in campaign mode. You basically never get out of, constantly touching base with people, meeting people, and the expectation, too, that you would be able to deliver everything almost at the same time. Do you think that some of the challenges and the pressures that you face is directly related to that margin, or is it simply a matter that would be for the entire population given the circumstances and the current economic climate?
No, I don't relate the pressures I'm under to my margin of victory, because as far as I'm concerned, I won the seat, and the key thing is to just serve the people, and that's what I do every day. So the challenges I face is because I want to serve my people to the best of my ability, and I need the resources to do so. And that is where my challenge is, and I guess it's because, as well as the way I operate, I always try to give it my best.
So you're basically saying that your modus operandi would have been the same, whether you won by 100 or 500 votes?
That's right. I serve my people.
I want to go to your constituency and your work program. And I spoke about this little manifesto just a little while ago.
Yes.
And some of the promises you made to the people of Gros-Islet. And there you have it with you tonight as to what your priority areas would be. Having served as parliamentary representative for almost 4 years now, would you say that you have been able to stick to that program and to deliver to the people based on what you have placed in that manifesto?
Well, when we prepared this manifesto, it was as a result of consultation with persons. And we prepared it not for one term in office. When you read it, we prepared it for at least 10 years in office. And we have been able to deal with some of the issues there, but not all of the issues. For example, we spoke about the expansion of the Gros-Islet Polyclinic. We've been able to keep this. We spoke about Gros-Islet Heritage Tourism Enhancement. We continue working on that program. We spoke about the Gros-Islet Eastern Highway, and you've heard the Prime Minister and where we are with it. I spoke about education, technology, innovation, and we've done this through our HRDCs. You've seen now the expansion of the Coran Secondary School. We spoke about empowerment, entrepreneurship, and employment. And we continue to work through various areas in each of the items itemized. So I'm keeping to it. I would like to achieve a lot more, but based on the resources that we have, I think we have done a great job. The area of sports in particular, we've done quite a bit, and I want to discuss that a little further.
Sure, no problem. I wanted to speak to very quickly before we go to a commercial break. You did say that throughout the term you would be engaging individuals for town hall meetings to get their feedback and to share with them. Have you been doing that?
Yes, okay. And we are doing this through what we call we form quite a few community groups.
Okay.
And so far I'm looking and we have at least 10 of those groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to some of the work happening in the Gros-Islet constituency under the CDP, for example. Yes. I know that there is quite a bit happening, and I know that there are demands. I would tell you before the start of the program, I got about 3 or 4 roads in the Gros-Islet area that I'm told that I should ask you about because promises have been made about these roads so far. On the sports as well, I know that lighting of some playing facilities were an issue as well. And so I'm hoping when we come back, you can give us an update as to what is happening in this area so that your constituents who are listening at least can get some feedback from you. Stay in touch. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back to In Touch. My guest tonight is Parliamentary Representative for Gros-Islet, Honorable Hippolyte, and tonight we're focusing on the constituency to get an idea as to what exactly is happening in Gros-Islet and to get an update on that list presented by Honorable Hippolyte when she was seeking that nod of approval to serve as Parliamentary Representative for the constituency. Of course, she has said that her plan was not a one-term plan, but a 10-year plan for the constituency. But I'm sure coming out of our discussion tonight, you would have some questions that you would want to ask. You can send your messages to WhatsApp on 7204992, and of course, we will be taking your calls later on in the program. Let us talk a little bit about the Constituency Development Program. I know that you're anxious to speak on the area of sports, but just because of some of the messages I've been getting so far, I want to discuss the CDP. Firstly, I think we need to get a sense as to how you go about selecting projects for the CDP. Already, we understand that it is a challenge because of the number of persons you have to serve and the number of areas you have to serve in the constituency. But in terms of drawing up a priority list and identifying projects under the CDP, how do you go about doing that?
Well, what we do, we determine, for example, that we are going to just drive through the constituency, and then we pick some of the worst roads, and based on the length of road as well, because of the resources that we have at our disposal. For example, we have some roads that we would not put under the CDP program. For example, we have the Dauphin Road, we have the Kasaba Road, we have the Aslavut Road. These roads are bad, but they are extremely lengthy roads, kilometers of roads. You could not put that under the CDP because, for example, on the Aslavut Road, we had an estimate, it's millions of dollars to repair it. So I then have to sit with the Minister for Infrastructure and see how we can attempt to address that particular road in pieces. Because, for example, the allocation for CDP, the average is about $1 million for the year.
Okay.
So then I have to determine how am I spreading that, and I can give you some examples. For my CDP, so far, between 2012 and now, we've constructed some 22 roads in the constituency.
Concrete roads?
Yeah, okay. No, not concrete. 22 roads. 14 of these under the CDP program, okay, and that is concrete roads, and 8 from the Ministry of Infrastructure. The 8 from the Ministry of Infrastructure, we did the Pee-wee Road at the foot of Bonterre, and we did the other 7 roads in the Beausejour Phase 1 and 2 development, because the roads there were just impassable. For our CDP roads, I can give you an example of what we've done. In 2015-16, for the year 2015-2016, so far we've done 4 roads. That is costing us some $687,000. And we did a road next to Prince Supermarket in Corinth. We did a road in Monchy leading up to La Rifoin. We did a Diwidou Road in Grand Rivière, and we have commenced a road in Marisil next to Tool Plus. So you see, we try to touch every part of the constituency. In 2014-2015, we spent some $800,000. We did 5 roads, and when you do the roads, we also deal with the drains.
Okay.
We did a road next to the current school. We did a road at Cedar Heights, Caimagé. We did the Cemetery Road in Gros-Islet Town. We did Croton Avenue in Piat. We did Charles Monok, which is a connecting road between Bonterre and Caimagé. And we did some sidewalks and stairs at Ingleswood up in Grand Rivière. 2013-14, we spent about $1.8 million, and there we did Bonnet Road in Marisil, we did the Hunter-François Drive in Lafayette, Cletus Drive in Monchy, Bougainville Drive in Monnier, Assou Canal roads. So we are, when we try to do with the CDP programs, we try to do what we call residential roads inside to provide relief to our residents, and we try to spread it throughout the constituency.
In terms of areas that are yet to receive attention, do you have a list of priority areas that you're looking to deal with in the near future?
The list is the length of life, so I don't know. You can
well, I can well imagine, and I think it is the same for almost every constituency, because no sooner you construct a road or some drain in some area, you would be getting requests from other communities, or sometimes areas within the same community.
For example, Saturday we did our drive-through, and we went through Monji Road, the back of Volney. Mm-hmm. There's a long road between Volney Collecting way down to Montplaisir. That road is bad. We need to deal with it, but I'm not sure we can put CDP there because of the length of that road.
The Ministry of Infrastructure introduced a program, and it was endorsed by the Prime Minister and announced in the budget, where the government, through the Ministry of Infrastructure, was looking to partner with residents in private areas to give them some form of relief and assistance for the construction of their roads. The Prime Minister did say that some of the difficulties that we are facing right now as a nation is that a lot of these private developments, either the proper infrastructure was not put in place, or the quality of the infrastructure that was put in place at the time of the sale of the property was not up to standard. And so right now the government finds itself under tremendous pressure to deal with some of these problems as they arise. I am certain that there are persons who are viewing from other constituencies, and when they hear of this long list, they would say, well, my goodness, if I am to give all of this attention to Gros-Islet, then it means that absolutely nothing can happen in Vieux-Fort North, and almost nothing can happen in Choiseul, because the needs are just so exhaustive. Do you see, not exhaustive, sorry, do you see a greater need for partnership? between the
Well,
private
I will
sector
answer
and
it.
government?
I will answer it in a different way. Yes, to that question, and it is an issue as a government, as a people, we need to discuss and develop policies on. Because when you look at how Gros-Islet was developed, it's only through, or the majority of the development are private developments. So Gros-Islet is unique in that regard. Whereas in other constituents, you might have government developments, and you call them proud, where persons build in unplanned areas, but on land that is
And then we
owned
come
by
in
the
to
crown.
regularize. Yeah.
You have proud to regularize that. But Gros-Islet don't have any proud. I don't know how to call it. We'll have to have something for the reverse, because the lands are developed, but it's developed by private owners. And consequently, it provides its own challenges, because most times what you find is the quality of the road infrastructure and drainage is not up to mark. In some cases it's there, some cases there's just no drain, no road. It's just a dirt opening. And persons have gone in and put their homes, and they will say, well, you are now entitled as a constituent because I'm paying my taxes. Or some of them might not have started paying, but they expect to pay taxes, and they expect the government to come in and put the road. And it is a policy issue that must be addressed. All of Gros-Islet, that's what we have. But in addition to this, when I talk about a long list of roads to be done and other things to be done, that is why there was a justification to split the constituency. Because other constituencies, 5,000 persons in there and 6,000 persons, and here we have 25,000 persons in this landmass. We've almost getting the same type of resources.
And I wanted to touch on this as well, but I'm glad you brought it up so early. In terms of dealing with constituencies according to population, yes, and according to the needs of the constituencies, do you think that enough resources or enough attention is being paid to Gros-Islet, given the unique situation that you find yourself in, where your population is double and sometimes triple that of many other constituencies?
And you will hear it all the time with my colleagues. I'm saying no. I'm saying no in terms of even the allocation from the to run the constituency office.
Right.
That allocation is the same. It's $30,000. That cannot even pay our rent in Gros-Islet. Whereas another colleague, another constituent might be able to pay the rent and pay somebody's salary and utilities. Gros-Islet, because of the nature, the cost of house rentals, it's very different. And we have to face this reality.
I'm sure it is something that you will continue to advocate
I'll
for.
continue.
I'm sitting. Yeah. I want to. A question is just coming in, and that person is looking at the CDP and the selection of roads.
Yes.
Under the CDP program. This person is asking, if there is a need in my community, can't I simply make a request through the constituency office or through the parliamentary representative directly? Because I've tried to do so on some occasions, and I'm getting the sense that the road must be selected by a specific team of individuals.
Not by a specific team. If somebody has a problem with their road, they present it to my constituency office, and it is put in the mix. Most times we visit the place to verify, and then we put it on the list.
Okay, indeed. The messages, you can send your messages into 7204992. For those who are calling, please, I really can't take any calls on my cell phone, but in a moment we'll be putting up the telephone number so that you can call directly into the studio, where we will take your calls for the minister. The area of the constituency development, specifically in sports, I note that you've been playing a very key role in getting our young people mobilized and keeping them very active in the area of sports. You spoke to revitalizing the Youth and Sports Council,
yes,
as one of your priorities. I know that there's a very vibrant Youth and Sports Council. There are other committees.
It is not a youth, actually. Gros-Islet still do not have an effective Youth and Sports Council.
So it's a football committee,
yes, but the Gros-Islet Football League is extremely effective and active, and I want to take this moment to commend the current president is Mr. Shane Paul, and before that we had Mr. Centrose. But Gros-Islet is blessed with a very strong football league, and they have actually kept the sports, the sports of football alive.
Yes.
And we only yesterday we had the opening of the Parliamentary tournament
Okay.
With the National Lottery. And I was telling them that the Gros-Islet brand is a brand that we need to guard and to grow
Well,
and to
it's a
protect.
pity that brand was not strong enough to go to the next round of Black Hat. But
it doesn't matter, but I just tell them, I told them yesterday that, you know, there are no errors or mistakes in life. It's just opportunities to learn.
We'll talk about that brand when we
Yes.
come back from our commercial break. Stay in touch.
Opportunities
we'll be right
to learn.
back. Of course.
But I'm proud of our footballers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Welcome back to In Touch. Honorable Hippolyte, we were speaking about the CDP and moved into the area of sports a little bit because one of your areas of emphasis would have been the youth development and sports. I have seen some projects that I can point to as it relates to sports. The National Aquatic Center will be constructed at Beauséjour, but you did speak to repositioning Beauséjour in that manifesto, and you promised as well to upgrade some of the community facilities, not simply with lighting, but in some areas to deal with the surface to ensure that there were recreational facilities across the constituency for young people to use. Where are we in terms of delivering on sports?
I think on sports, in terms of the physical infrastructure, the only thing we have done actually is the court at Riviere Mitan and the lighting at Grand Rivière. For places like Caimagé, we have to acquire land. For places like Vieux-Siquet, we have to acquire land. For places at La Bonne playing field and Monnier playing field, it's a lot of land acquisition that is, I have to be working with the Ministry for Physical Planning to do this acquisition. But what I would like to say that despite the absence of the physical infrastructure in some of these communities, the sports persons in Gros-Islet have continued to give their best. And I want to really salute the girls, the netballers from Grand Rivière. We have at least about 5 of our netballers on the national team. And when you see the limited space that they have to practice, I need to really commend them for the work that they're doing. I also want to recognize the work that the National Tennis Center and the board there is doing in terms of keeping tennis alive, the international tournaments that they have at a very proper and international standard. And I want to commend them as well for the grassroots program that they have introduced. And now students can get training and play tennis, something that at the beginning was reserved for a few.
In terms of support for sports, for sportsmen and women, and for different programs within the constituency, what level of support would your office offer? Do you have any specific programming for sports, or would you be responding simply to the needs of these various communities?
I would be responding to the needs in most cases. They would come to us, for example, certain young persons come together and say, look, we want to come together to form a club. We need support for the, what you call the football kit, for example, which is their uniform. One of the challenges that I find is a lot of our young persons, especially in the area of football, most of them are unemployed. And it's from last year, we've been making significant efforts at trying to address this. And I'm very pleased that only earlier this month, the director of the NSDC Mrs. Sanpri, we had a meeting, and finally she was able to put a program together with the Ministry of Education where we would at least identify some 33 footballers who are unemployed to put them through a training program, and in terms of IT, life skills, and also to train them in the area of maritime training to prepare them for the yachting industry. So finally, we have made a significant breakthrough in terms of linking our sports persons. I always said that, you know, we have the footballers, we expect them to win, but we never pay attention to their nutrition.
Yes.
You know, sorry. And I think it was extremely important that we make this breakthrough, and I intend to continue working with the NSDC and other organizations to ensure and to see that we get more of those young persons onto this program. And while we're talking about this, I want to thank Mr. Reg Pereira, because he came up, we had a first discussion, and he came up with a skeleton of that program, and we were able to take it and modify it with the NSDC. So I want to recognize him for this.
Indeed. Only footballers, or you
at the moment,
into
we said
areas?
we'll look into all areas, but at the moment it's the pilot, and we are dealing with the footballers.
It seems to be the most popular sport.
It is, because we, for example, at the tournament yesterday, we have 13 teams.
Wow.
13 teams in Gros-Islet.
That's a lot of teams,
yes.
But that one team was not good enough to move beyond. I mean, I can tell you that Vieux-Fort North and Vieux-Fort South did not move beyond their opening matches.
Yes.
And I was very disappointed. But looking at what happened over the weekend with Soufrière coming on top and Canries coming on top, obviously,
lessons, maybe,
you know, they're closer to us down there, so
maybe,
that's something we can celebrate.
I don't know. I mean, I spoke to the minister today. I said, you know, that's your moment. Just bask.
It's not his
glory.
moment. We are lost. It's not his moment.
Minister, Minister Dalson.
I
said that's your moment.
I thought you referred to the Minister for Sports.
Yeah, Minister Dalson.
Somebody wants to take us back to the issue of roads, and the messages are already coming in. Good evening. The parliamentary representative is speaking about roads. She has service in a constituency. How about the ring road in the Montessori School area? I use this road on a daily basis, even before she became the rep. And as far as I can recall, this section of road has been plagued with potholes for ages. And I also know that some of the residents supported her in the last elections. Why pothole the Larry Tret Road and bypass this one?
Well, it's not a matter of potholing and bypassing. And I have always, you know, when my constituents approach me in that manner, is that it's an issue of prioritizing. The Larry Tret, the issue of which road to be potholed, the Ministry of Infrastructure has a potholing crew, and they go around the constituents. I mean, for example, there are certain parts, if you look at that piece of road between Bay Gardens and the supermarket, I mean, that road was so visible with these potholes, and it remained and remained and remained, and I had to finally say, but how long will we wait before it is addressed? And you could see it was being addressed. So I just want to ask the young lady, or whoever it is, the message that we will take note of it, and we will attempt to address it.
Someone is saying, I have two concerns. One, there is a pile of dirt in the corner near, I believe that is Makana. That has been there for years. This is a serious hazard. I don't know that area, so I'm not too sure if I'm pronouncing it very well, but it's M-A-C-A-N-E. There is a Diramo to Monsitor Road. This is a major route from the north to the south.
Yes, the Monsitor Road.
Yeah, and this is all the message is saying. It's just saying these are the two concerns.
As I said, we can sit here all night, and residents will have concerns.
There are some roads that will be serviced on the secondary road program in the Shock to Gros-Islet Highway. Which roads will be
for example, the Vieux-Sikwe Road, the road at the back of Cable and Wireless, which is it's in poor shape if you pass there now. Significant potholes. But when
the Corinth area. The
Corinth area. So sometimes, although I noted that there was some potholing in the Vieux-Sikwe area, but when you speak to the potholing team, they are also telling you that they're stretched in terms of the monies to purchase the bitumen, that they are stretched between Gros-Islet and dividing the time among the various constituencies. So I just want to tell persons, I welcome the comments. Please send it in so that we can continue building the database. But please bear a bit of patience with us. What we have attempted to do as well, especially those roads that are on the incline, that are hills where, for example, in Beauséjour, where persons, even with a four-wheel drive, you had difficulty accessing them, we had to pay some attention to that. So persons, you have areas, for example, you have a road like Paris Hideaway. It's a flat road. It requires attention, but we're saying just bear some patience with us.
Good evening to you, Minister. Whereas many persons will be presenting their list of needs to you, I simply want to say thank you for building our bridge. We're not able to use it yet, but at least the structure is there, and for this I am immensely grateful. It is a promise that you made. Frankly, I did not have much confidence and faith that it would be done. However, it is now completed, and I simply want to say thank you. I'm not too sure which bridge, but okay.
You're most welcome.
And the messages continue to come in. You can send them on 7204992. If you wish, you could email to intouchwithjadia@gmail.com. Good evening. How are you and your guests? I just want to ask the minister what is going on with regards to the road in the Kaimaji area, which boundaries with Mr. Reno's development. The residents in the area put together a petition which was requested by her in regards to being affected by heavy equipment using the road, and nothing has been done.
Yeah, I know the road. I think I was on it about a month ago. And again, it is a long piece of road. It was damaged. There's a bit of contention about what caused the damage.
And who's responsible
for it. But as a government, we will address it at the right time. And the right time for us is, it's one of those roads that we will have to get infrastructure to address, because it is also a very long road.
Indeed. Just before we go to break, because when we come back, we'll be taking your phone calls. There's one matter that I want to raise with you, and that is the role of the constituency council in the whole mobilization effort and maintenance of some of our public facilities in Gros-Islet. What is the nature of the relationship between your office and the constituency council, and is there any line drawn as to who is responsible for what?
Well, actually, it's a good question, Julia, because, for example, as we've discussed the size and complexity of Gros-Islet, the council that we have is not geared towards addressing the size of the constituency. The Gros-Islet constituency is structured both in terms of staffing, both in terms of the resources that it receives, operates as if it is serving only the town. Because originally that was what it was. Then Gros-Islet has just grown to what it is now. But in terms of the resources assigned to it, because when you compare the Gros-Islet constituency and the Castries City Council, serving free constituencies. In essence, that is what the Gros-Islet constituency should be doing. But it does not have the structure, not the resources.
Understood. When we come back, we'll be taking your phone calls, so stay in touch. You can call in and continue to send your messages as well. We'll be right back after the commercial break.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay.
Welcome back to In Touch. You can begin to call in with your questions or your comments, and the line is already blinking. I can tell you, Minister, I have a list of projects and proposals for you. Good night. Thank you for joining us.
Good night to you, JD. Good night to you, Sister Emma.
Good night.
Good night.
Sister Emma, I have to say honestly, you are one of my favorite politicians. I will not deny that. I will not keep it a secret.
Thank you.
And I have to say that I love the way that you have represented yourself as a female politician. So I just want to say to you, Sister Emma, continue doing the good works that you were elected to. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night,
I
you on the air.
appreciate these words of encouragement.
Hi, JD.
Hi. Good night.
If I can call her Auntie Emma.
Hi, good evening.
I must say every time I look at In Touch, I am educated a little more about what is going on in my country. So I can only say this: thank you for sharing, and I want you to continue doing the hard work that you're doing, just not for Gros-Islet, but for the government and people of St. Lucia. Keep up the good work, and I hope you inspire more women to actually keep doing what you're doing, Auntie Emma.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. 452-7347 is the number to dial. Any questions that you may have on matters related to the constituency of Gros-Islet, any comments that you want to make to the parliamentary representative who is with us tonight, feel free to join us. Good evening. We'd just like to ask the parliamentary rep, when will the rest of the streetlights be put up in the Moshi development area? It is more than a year since I delivered a letter to her asking for streetlights in that area, especially way to the back where persons like me built. Moshi development area, right after this phone call. Good night, you on the air?
Yes, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Not too bad on you and my sisters.
Thank you.
Good evening. May God bless you all.
Thank you.
Yes, you all should know that voice.
I am not too sure. I'm trying to see if I can pick up that voice.
Okay. Well, that's your sister in Christ.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm okay.
I pick up the voice now.
Sorry?
I pick up the voice now.
Okay. My sister Emma.
How are you?
I love you so much, as you know, forever.
Thank you.
The picture is still in the place, you know already, the two pictures. And your sister, and continue doing your good job. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. Jesus love you, and you are blessed, lady. And don't forget my little road.
Thank you so much.
You know who's that?
Thank you so much for joining us,
know.
caller. We've lost that call.
I know.
Yes, indeed. 452-7347 is the number to dial, and you can also send in your messages to us via WhatsApp. Good night, you on the air. Hello? We have lost that call. Good night.
Good night to you, Julia.
Hi, good night.
And good night to Madam Emma Hippolyte.
Good evening. Good night.
I would like to move a little away from the constituency because I'm calling from the south.
Okay.
There is a problem I have with the media and the perception of certain people towards politicians. And I find you have worked in the public service, you have public sector, you have worked with government, and now you're parliamentary and you're a politician. We often hear that all politicians are the same. And I have a very big problem with this, especially with young people, because I speak a lot of politics to young people, and they seem to be coming up with this story for me, all politicians are the same. Can you please explain to some of our young people for me that the politics of yesterday and the politics of today, and the difference between politicians and people aspiring to be politicians for their own good, because I believe that you are one of these people who have actually been working for your constituency and for the country at large. Can you explain that for me, please, as a good politician?
Very interesting. Thank you, caller. What makes you different? In your own view, what would set you apart from any other politician?
Because to be a politician, you need to commit yourself to service. And it is selfless service. Anything else, if you come with your own aspirations for your own personal development, put it aside. This is pure service to country and to your fellow men. Anything else, no.
Just before we go back to the phone lines, I'm a resident of Bonte and would like to remind the minister to please look into fixing the Marina View Road, as there are now craters and it is becoming impossible to traverse that piece of road. I know the resources are not always there, but please do something. So Marina View, I suspect I would have to make a list of some of these
I remember
areas
Marina
for
View,
you. Yes.
we sent the people to fix it, actually, because I remember visiting myself.
Okay.
But something did not happen.
Tell about the Moshi lights. Someone called, sent a message about the lights.
Well, not only the Moshi lights. What I want to say is, since when we came into office between 2012 and 2013, I think we installed in Gros-Islet over 80 street lamps throughout the constituency. Wow. We did that. We had a program where we installed street lights every quarter. In fact, for the Cap Estate area, because they had a challenge with their security, we installed almost 40 street lamps in Cap Estate alone. And then the other 40-something, we spread it throughout the constituency. Yeah. But from 2014 to present, we have not been able to install one
My understanding is that there was a shortage of street lamps.
Well, not a shortage. There was a decision by the ministry and by Gros-Islet to move into LED lamps.
Yes.
And that has caused a huge challenge for everybody. I'm not sure where the problems are, but it's between Gros-Islet, Ministry of Infrastructure, and Ministry of the Environment. Yes. I'm not sure where the problems are, but I need to tell the the person who sent the message, and all the other persons who have been asking me, we have a list, the length of life, waiting for the lamps.
Yes.
But I cannot do, I can only ask, but it is a challenge, this thing of Gros-Islet waiting for the LED lights.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from
installing, that's right.
Yeah, from what we have right now, the cost. Yeah.
So these conventional lights, after they've installed the LED lights, the intention is to reallocate the lights that they remove, but I'm not sure what is the challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone here is waiting on the basketball court in the Grand Riviere community, and the person says it's coming from a youth in the community.
Well, I am not certain that we have a program for basketball court in the Grand Riviere community. I know that there is a field there. In order for us to install a basketball court, we would have to do some land acquisition.
Good night, you're on the air. Thank you for calling. Hello? Hi, good night, you're on the air.
Good night, Julia.
Hello, good night.
And good night, Sister.
Good night, sir.
Sister, I do not know if that portfolio, that is another show, that's politics. If that portfolio is under your guard, I'm referring to that SSDF. We have 6 seats available. I don't know who's running. I'm a member of the party. And this is SSDF.
SSDF?
SSDF. And I have heard about that guy. I don't know. I just seen something set of view. If I'm right, say I'm right. They call him Jacques Henry.
Oh, he's the executive director.
I have heard about that guy doing so much of a good job. I don't know if we can nominate him. Yeah, I remember when we nominated Jada, that was in Chancellery. That was when she was a young girl on stage. You remember that, Jada? So I don't know if we can nominate that guy. Put him together with the rest, because we have 11 and they have 6. Because I've seen a lot of people.
You know, he always listens to this program, so I'm sure he's listening to you right now when he's saying your recommendation.
I just said, as a member, I'm just speaking of my view.
Okay.
To put him somewhere to sit down. Okay. Anywhere, any constituency.
Okay.
Because these people have been knowing him where they work anywhere, any constituency, and they go to him and make him run, and let me see the house.
So you don't have any ideas as to which constituency he should go to?
I do not know any idea, but
maybe you should think about it and share it with us some other time.
Okay, my God.
Thank you so much for calling.
Take care.
Yes, indeed. You're getting messages from your constituents, and like I said, well, you have been saying that the list is as long as life, and there are so many areas that you need to address in your constituency. Good night. Thank you for joining. We have lost that call. 452-7347 is the number to dial. Good night. You're on the air.
Good night, Gigi.
Hi, good night.
Good night, Auntie.
Good night, sir.
Joachim Henry, I think they should make him run for Old Victoria Road, the one side.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will be passing on the messages to him. I said I'm sure he's listening to the program tonight. We're getting recommendations for candidates. Once nobody called this show to mention my name to run any seat, because this is something hopefully I would not have to do for my lifetime. From what the parliamentary representative on my side here is saying, and from what I have seen, I can tell you that this one is not for everyone. Good night, you on the air. Good night. Thank you for calling.
Hello. Good night to you.
Hi.
Good evening.
So minister and lady.
Hello.
There's somewhere in a Monjiro that I think I visited there, driving into, I think that's where the lawyer Richelieu lives, right?
Yes.
Right. I think that track of road, that is so bad. I have driven in, I've walked. I don't know whether you can recall that
I know the road, but again, that is another road that is private development. We have gone there, we have seen it. There's going to be some challenges to deal with it. Yeah, but that's what we said. All of Gros-Islet is private development. But you see, and even when you, for example, the roads we went through, even when you are going to put things in place to deal with it, the persons have, some of them have built on the road reserve. So it's, little holes, it's going to impact some houses when we went to some places up to Saturday.
Yeah, but like I said, I think I understand what you're saying. But because I've been into that little bit of road,
it's bad. I know it's bad.
For some reason, something tells me that my little people that I normally canvass when the time comes, I want to be able to say we remembered you all.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing your views, caller. Certainly, I would have to make a list for you. We're running out of time, and so I just want to give you an opportunity for your closing remarks.
Okay. Time
you
is
go
gone
right
already?
ahead. Yes.
Oh, my God. Well,
we have just about 30 seconds left.
Yeah. Well, JD, I need to thank you for having me. I need to thank the persons who call. I want to take this moment to thank the members of my constituency group who are there with me through thick and thin. I don't want to call names, but you know yourself. You've been there. They're there with us day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. People call them, as you see, the list you have there, they call them the same way, they quarrel. But I just want to say thank you, all of Gros-Islet, for the support that you have provided. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for understanding the challenges that we face. But I want to commit and to tell you that we have a parliamentary rep who understands the needs that you have and will continue to work with the Honorable Prime Minister and my other cabinet colleagues in ensuring that we address the needs that you have, especially in the area of roads, drains, street lamps, and in some cases, trying to get jobs to you, my young people.
Thank you so much. You've been watching In Touch. We'll be back next week with another edition. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your calls and your messages. Good night.